My name is Ashley Michael James. My company name is Waystone Financial, and my official title is Managing Director of Waystone Financial. My journey to finding a sales career was a bit of an anomaly, to be honest with you, because at first, as a college graduate, I was at McDonald's, and after being there for about 11 months, I got offered the opportunity of an interview. And it was a bit of a funny story because of my accent. I thought the interview was about wheels, which is car insurance related. I was more than happy to, learn the role, go into anything else they, wanted to bring me up to. Because I said, as long as you're willing to give me the training, I can learn it. I know sales myself. Got the job, and on day one, I found out they were talking about wills, as in dying, death, life assurance. So it was a backwards road into it. But when you have work ethic, when you can, apply yourself, I assimilated into the roles, quite seamlessly once I realized what I was actually into. So yeah, it was a bit of chance, but at the end of the day, you generate your own luck as well. It was a magical fit because it turned out that not only is it a relevant industry, but as I started to surpass my peers, grow and became recognized in that area, funny enough, about 8 years later, I ended up having my own company and having my own staff and actually having other people in that same exact industry, my former peers, coming to me for not only advice but asking for me for jobs as well. So to come that full spectrum in such a short span amount of time, winning awards that I never dreamed of just being an advisor myself, is a testament to how far I've come as an individual, but also making sure that, I didn't just, take this by chance. I actually, took everything on stride and tried to make sure I took it to a higher level than just doing the bare minimum. I was headhunted for the role as the managing director, actually, because a few people had heard about my experience. I had a former recruiter who would work with me over the years, who, funny enough, helped me get one of my other better jobs in the past and thought I'd be the perfect kind of role to help nurture and grow an organization. Was it everything I entailed? Not everything as such, because for me as a person, I never envisioned owning a company 100% by myself. That's never my goal. I was built up around team sports and the idea of building up others. So having at that point almost a one man band, that wasn't my kind of gig. Whereas I was more about being the team player, the captain, the director of the ship. I'd rather be a sales manager driving a force and having other powers that be higher than me. So that was a bit of a difficult challenge for me, actually being the face and image of a brand. So over time, eventually, once I established the brand, established the credibility and reputation that preceded me beforehand just by myself, that's when I started to feel more comfortable when I had people underneath me. And it didn't have to be about me. It was about the brand, Waystone. My current position as the managing director is it's now at this moment in time exactly as I hoped it would be. Is a position where I facilitate the day-to-day activities, which is, for example, for myself, I speak to banks, lenders about my clients. I get to reach out to introducers, so people who want to introduce either clients to us on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, on a one-off basis, to make sure that our advisors have clients that they can work with. So it's actually developed into a business to business type of model instead of a business to client based model, which is fine. But the way I put it is I'm actually chasing golden geese as opposed to chasing golden eggs. A business business relationship is a lot more dynamic because you're talking to people who are potentially clients as well. But as a business, you have more liabilities at stake. It's easier to talk in terms of just statistics and numbers. Whereas if you're talking to a person about their personal circumstance, it's more of a heart conversation. Whereas, for example, if you say, you've got a business company, you need business insurance, this is the cost. They know that they need it. It's a much needed transaction. It's a lot more cut and dry. It's a lot higher premiums, monthly payments that people need to pay. But it's a very straightforward conversation in terms of you need it. This is something reputable. It's an end of type of situation. Whereas when you're dealing, from a business to a client perspective, they want to get bought in a lot more into yourself. They have a lot more options in terms of client basis. When you talk about the power of millennials, etc. They want to get 10, 15 different answers, quotations, whereas through a business to business, if they find someone that they trust, they'll stick with that person for the next 10 odd years. And not only that, the people that work within the business potentially reach out to you as well. So it's a lot different dynamics because you find that people are coming to you as opposed to you chasing down individuals. Some of my favorite things in sales is the day-to-day dynamics just change. You'd never speak to two exact of the same scenarios, and there's always you're finding solutions. You're a problem solver to everyone's kind of dynamic, and especially in our industry, which is ever changing, ever evolving. You can't just go in with the same pitch, the same dynamic. You've got to listen actually more than you actually talk. And the better the listener you are, an active listener you are, sometimes you end up making the person the best salesperson there is possible. So that's actually something I quite love. I wish someone would have told me that I had the power to actually go out on a limb and do this all myself from the very beginning. It's a bit of a double-edged sword because it's a catch-22 of experience versus credibility. But I wish someone would have actually told me that you're using and soaking up information up for a further purpose. A good salesperson has the attribute of being an active listener. If you're an active listener, you can actually hear what the people who you're talking to on a regular basis generally want. And the other part of it is getting them in their own words to explain what they want, why they want it, and what happens if they don't have it. Because at the end of the day, a generally good salesperson and the greatest salespeople, they don't have to say what the client wants. They get the client to say it, and they get the client to say, this is what I want, and I want it now. I wish someone would have told me how hard it is. When it comes to sales, it's almost like these athletes online that are getting slated off on Twitter, etc. You just have to have a thick skin and understand it's not necessarily always about you. It's sometimes people have had a bad day. It's sometimes that there are other circumstances as well. But what you have to do is take on board all the things that you can do to get better with each call, with each person you meet face to face, and just get better. A great football coach I used to have back in the day said the most important play in life or on the football field is the next one. You could have a terrible phone call or a terrible meeting with one client, but if you carry that mood into your next client, that client could be, your month, your year. And all it takes is one bad instance. We only get one chance to make that first appearance. That's it. One chance. People will judge you within the very first 4 seconds of either hearing your voice or seeing your face. And all it takes is that one bad carry on to potentially ruin your next day as well. So for me, any new opportunity is a new opportunity to change your day. That could be the catalyst to actually having a good day or a good moment. Advice I would give to an undergrad student is take on board and watch people that you want to be like. For example, for yourself, if you want to be in sales, if you want to be an astronaut, whatever it is in your undergrad, see someone that you know that has done it, that has been there, and that you can actually emulate. Because the worst thing you can do is take advice from people that haven't done the walk, haven't gone through those actual end roads as well. Because then it's just you're talking generics. You might as well be a Monday morning quarterback. So try and find people either on LinkedIn, on social media, that you know that have gone into the exact fields that you have done as close as possible and ask, get the answers from the horse's mouth.